Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Cole Obarts Entertainment, providing amusement, celebration, and distraction since 2013. To find out more, visit us on the web at www.coleobartsent.com.
I wanna visit all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days, and I am your host, Kathy Blaze. You want to find something that looks good on you? Then you better talk to our next guest, Anya. Hello there.
How are you?
Good, great to see you again.
Good to see you
Ooh,
too.
you look fabulous today, girl.
Oh,
I love it.
You also look very fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Miss Anya, I met you on a set of an industrial, and you were our seamstress. But in the real world, in Anya's world, you are a fashion designer. You design clothes. You're a seamstress for those that need that service also.
Yeah.
But we're going to let you talk about all the things you do out here in Arizona community. So, but first I'd like to ask, you're not a native of Arizona.
No.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from a really small town called Pushino in Russia, which is like 2 hours southeast of Moscow.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just a very small town, and I came here when I was 10. My dad moved here to get a job at ASU and start a life for us here. After the Iron Curtain fell, about a few years after that, we moved here and were able to work on living the American dream.
Okay. And I'm glad you moved here, or I wouldn't have got to meet your beautiful face. So, you came here to Arizona when you were 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what did you think about Arizona coming from Russia? I mean, how was that culture shock for you?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was, I remember learning English when I was in Russia and just banging my head against the wall because I just couldn't grasp it, I guess. But everyone in Europe has to learn English.
Oh, okay.
Or we did anyway. But anyway, so when I came, it was very hard for me, and I got bullied, and because of I can't talk. My mom said not to talk about this stuff, so I won't. But anyway, so just like, it was hard as for any immigrant kid who was moved here. I'm sure will understand.
Right.
And just the values are a little bit different. I grew up, I don't know. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into
So it
that.
was just different for you.
It was very different.
Right. It was like you said, he felt the values were different. It was just a different environment.
Yes.
So
it was tough, but then I felt like I was embraced, and I felt more at home here.
Good for you. I'm happy to hear that. So, when did you get into designing clothes and when was your first moment? Tell us your first moment when you worked on using a sewing machine, because she uses the sewing machine.
Okay.
And she's good at it and quick.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. Well, when I started sewing first when I was really little, like 8, but I sewed by hand for Barbies and stuff, and then sewing machine, I started seriously sewing, I think probably in high school when I started to make my own clothes, and I actually was really lucky to become a vendor for my high school and design costumes for our dance team.
Oh, okay.
And one of my teachers, Micah Kristen, she really opened the door for me to, be creative in a bigger sense than just for myself, for the whole dance class at the time, dance company.
Okay. So was that at the point where you realized this is something you wanted to do for the rest of your life? You're very passionate about?
No, I realized it when I was about 7 or 8, and I was watching this documentary about the supermodels of the 90s, and it was about like all the different designers, and it was in America, or in Paris and London, all the big cities. And after I watched that documentary, I was just like, this is it.
That was it.
But the first thing I wanted to do when I was a kid is be a street sweeper. So
You want to make sure the streets are clean, huh?
Yeah. So,
that's cute.
I don't know.
I've never heard that before. That's cute.
Like with a broom. 'Cause
Right.
we didn't have the blowers or anything.
Oh, okay. And you know what? I immediately went to my head with the trucks that sweep the street.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. But you want to go out there with the broom and
This is a broom. It's very meditative.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So, was there a designer that inspired you, Anya?
Yes. Let's see. Well, there's several. Probably the most, the designer that really spoke to my heart first was Vivienne Westwood, who's a British designer, and she's credited as the, putting punk in the mainstream. Punk rock style in the mainstream. I say credited because there's more history behind that. But another person, of course, is Alexander McQueen. He's a genius. And let's see, Dior, John Paul Gaultier, who did the costumes for Fifth Element. I don't know if you ever, or Lizzo just now at the VMAs. Jean Paul Gaultier.
Yes.
And also, who am I forgetting? I'm sure I'm forgetting. Anyway, so Vivienne Westwood, Jean Paul Gaultier, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but Alexander McQueen. I guess those
we won't
three.
charge it to the heart. So those were some amazing people to be your inspiration.
Oh yeah, they're incredible.
Yes. So you got here. You're in Arizona. Well, at what time did you actually start getting out and being a part of the community where these things are happening?
So I think it was really seriously out of college when I finished ASU. I got my degree in fiber arts, which is like textile design and creating, manipulating fabric in all these different ways.
Okay.
Which is a very healing art. And after that, I was able to focus all of my energy on, branding the business and starting to be in shows like fashion shows and do photo shoots and stuff. So it was kind of like the last year of 2011 is where I started to put my energy towards it fully. Because I didn't have to focus on school too.
Right. Tell us about your first show.
Oh gosh, my first show, I think. Oh yeah, that's right. My first show was actually in college, at ASU.
Okay.
And it was, my mom actually helped put it together, and it was all these different students that did modeling, and it was just on like Forest and University, I think.
Okay, so
Just that little
did
small
you
building
create
there.
designs for that show?
Yeah,
How
I
many
designed.
designs did you have?
I think I probably had, I don't know, maybe like 14 or something like that, something standard, maybe more. But it was like, mostly it was my clothes that I made like throughout,
Did you have a
high
theme
school
for that
to
show?
college. The theme, well, I just remember telling them to act like total badasses. So I don't really know the theme At the time, I usually just
it was
tell
just for them to go out there and rock it and be bad, huh?
Yeah, I just tell them to, like, I try to not have as much or give as much not have too much creative control when it comes to other people, because I already did my job, so then they can add their own stuff, and then we can make
Right.
something so much cooler.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I love that. And you told me that you designed this today, especially to come here and see me today, and you look amazing.
Well, thank you.
I love what you're wearing today. The name of your company, where did that name come from?
Well, I came up with it when I was 12. I don't know if I somehow heard the saying "good on ya" or if it just came to me, because people would, have fun with my name a lot of times. So I thought I'd flip it and own it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it came about.
Right, I love it. Looks good on you. Goes right along with your name. So and I met you on a set, as I said earlier, and we had some conversations about different topics. And one of the things was being a full-figured woman in today's world, in the industry, and some of the challenges. And that is something you make clothes for everybody.
Yes.
Okay, what is it like when you meet a full-figured woman that wants a design made? I mean, how are you as a designer making that person feel comfortable and to know that it's going to look good on her as your brand states, and that she's going to be just as beautiful as this size 10 and she's possibly a 16? Are there any methods or that you use to assure her that she's going to look just as beautiful?
Yeah, so basically, the fashion industry, the way I see it, the fashion industry is very image driven, right? Where it's all about how you look. So what I try to do when I'm working with someone, no matter what size you are, is I try to shift your focus from being really focused on the way you look, and shift your focus to like your personality, the things you like, the things you love, like the all of your other dimensions as a human being.
Right.
So and that then informs the design that we create together. That's really for you.
Right.
And you are the muse. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so then I'm hoping through that process, a person can see themselves more in a holistic way, instead of like dissociating with image and and personality.
And like I say, like a number, because that's all we see is a number.
Well, I mean,
in a imperfect world, say 20 could be the most beautiful number in the world, but society has told us that, oh, at 20 you're this, you're that, blah blah blah. So we see it as not being beautiful, but it's not about the numbers, about the person.
It's absolutely about the person, yeah. And in different times in history, different just like you can see now, the ideal of beauty from the 90s, the heroin chic, to the 2000s, to now is a very different ideal.
Right. Right.
And there's been different times in history and in different cultures and locations, like where a different body ideal, there's a different body ideal.
Right.
So right now in the West, we've got the hourglass. That's the figure of the moment.
That's the figure of the moment, right?
But that's the thing.
The created figure of the moment.
It's of the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know you brought some pictures of your work. I'd like to see some of that, okay? Because
Sure.
I know you have a diverse group of women, different sizes, different designs, different looks. I'd like to show some of those, okay?
Sure.
Okay, first what is this?
Well, this was the most, this was probably the biggest audience that I was able to capture with the project. and it was sponsored by my good friend Natalie V. Thank you very much. She introduced me to Jasmine McGlade, who was the wife of Damien Chazelle, who created Whiplash the movie in 2014 and won a lot of awards. And I was able to create this dress for her and work with her. And my grandparents got to see it in Russia before they died.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's my friend Natalie, who has been one of my biggest supporters. And I love her very much. And her name's Natalie V. And the photo is taken by Daniel Congos of the Congos brothers, who are big. And that's Hannah Sutton, and the photographer is Rachel Kosika. And that was probably the first photo shoot, that serious photo shoot I did was with Rachel.
Tell me about that look right there. What were you aiming for when you created this?
Well, it's kind of a bit of a commentary on like digital image, like your image on the computer or on the internet. So like she's like pixelated.
Yes.
You know? And like how that is such a dissociation from the real world. I guess that's kind of where I was thinking.
Okay.
And then here is Leanne Carroll and Lauren Perry, and they're wearing designs that I collaborated with artist Oliver Hibbert for. He created the fabric designs, and this is also at his house, and the set is at his house, and the photographer is John P. Foley and Joey Couture. Oh, he was almost French there for a second. And then the makeup and hair artist is Georgette Chakao, and if I'm forgetting, and then it was published in Java Magazine by Robert Sentieri.
Okay, that looked like something Kanye West would be sporting right there.
And then this is also an image by John P. Foley, and the model is Nicole Gunnell, and she had me make this for her. I think it's from a video game.
Oh, okay.
And she wanted to do like a cosplay situation.
Okay. Were you there when they did this picture? Was this downtown Phoenix?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I think I've done a shoot there before.
Yeah.
It looks familiar. Oh, that's beautiful.
And then this is Sasha Kingman, and this is a more current collaboration that I'm doing with Riel Oace in LA. Riel is a model and a photographer, and she picked the perfect model, Sasha, for this dress. So that's more of my newer work.
Okay.
That's when I was trying to be a model.
Oh, that's you. You were being a model.
So this one
Look at
was
that pose.
This one was a really long project I did with John P. Foley, and we researched it for 3 months, and we went to Wickenburg. It's called The Cactus Whisperer, and I'm the model and the wardrobe designer, and Stevie Rosalie is the makeup designer.
We know Stevie.
Yeah, and she's like the doll. She's gorgeous and sweet.
She's a friend to the show. She's been on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, and it was published in Freak Magazine, Australia in September.
Congratulations. You have some fabulous work, and I know, we just barely touched some of your photos, and you have so much more to show, so much new things coming on. So we definitely would love to see you again and see some of the new work that you have coming out. And we're going to keep our eyes on you and see what you're doing out there.
Thank you very much.
So where can our audience find you?
Well, I have a lot of my portfolio on Instagram at Looks Good Anya Design Studio. And then I have an Etsy shop, Looks Good Anya. .etsy.com, and then you can find me on Facebook also, LGA or Looks Good Anya.
Okay. Everything, it looks good on you, just like she said, because it looks good on her. Well, thank you for joining us today. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
And thank you for joining us here today at Desertwood Days, and we'll catch you next time.
Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Cole, Obarts Entertainment. Providing amusement, celebration, and distraction since 2013. To find out more, visit us on the web at www.coleobarts.com.